بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم نحمده ونصلي ونسلم على رسوله الكريم أما بعد Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi ta'ala wa barakatuh. Once again, we are pleased to be presenting on behalf of Muslim Online, and we are excited to embark on yet a third journey, and that is the journey of Fiqh, Islamic jurisprudence, where we are going to delve into masail, rulings pertaining to certain things, particularly our devotional acts of worship. And Nabi alayhi salatu wasalam had mentioned to us that talabul ilmi faridatun ala kulli Muslim, that the seeking of the basic knowledge of deen is incumbent, it is fard upon every believer, male or female. So we start off by understanding Kitabut Tahara, that is the book on cleanliness, the chapter on cleanliness. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala in the Quran, in Surah Al-Baqarah, verse 222 says, Inna Allah yuhibbu tawabin wa yuhibbul mutatahhirin. That indeed Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala loves those who, who seek His pardon consistently and persistently. So those who are always turning to the pardon of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, Allah loves them. وَيُحِبُّ الْمُتَطَهِّرِينَ. And Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala loves those who are pure and who strive for purity and cleanliness. Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wasallam has also mentioned, as recorded by Imam Muslim rahimahullah, الطهور شطر الإيمان, that cleanliness, purity, is half of faith. Now, it does not literally mean that cleanliness and purity is literally half of faith, but it is a figure of speech. It means that it plays a huge role in our Islamic law and in our lives. Because Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wasallam explains yet in another hadith that miftahul jannati as-salah or miftahul salah at-tuhur, that the key to Jannah is salah, but the key to salah is cleanliness. And it is without doubt that Tahara, cleanliness, is the foundation of our devotional acts of worship like Salah, because Salah is not valid except in the state of purity, in the state of cleanliness. Now we go on to understand that Tahara we are translating as cleanliness, as purity. But what is the technical definition of Tahara? So I give you a simple example of how to understand what our discussion is actually about here today and in this lesson. If you look at Salah, we translate it as prayer, but it has a technical definition. It means to worship Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala in a specific manner as shown to us by Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wasallam. If you look at Zakat, we translate it, or the literal translation of Zakat is purity. It can also be translated as blessing. It can also be translated as increase. But what's the technical definition of Zakat? It is tamliku malin makhsusin li shakhsin makhsus. It is to make someone deserving and owner of a portion of your wealth as stipulated by the Sharia. So likewise, tahara, one is the literal translation, purity. But what is the technical definition? Now, sometimes it's a bit difficult to provide a technical definition to things, but they are best understood through their categories or through examples. So the scholars explain, if you want to understand tahara, let us look at two cases of tahara, cleanliness. The first is taharatum min al hadath, and the second is taharatum min al najasa. The first refers to a ritual state of purity, and the second one refers to a physical state of purity. Just to give you an example, when we talk about the ritual state of purity, this means that it is achieved through wudu, that is ablution, or ghusl, our ritual bath, or tayammum. Tayammum we'll explain a bit later, but it is a substitute for ablution, for a ritual bath in certain circumstances. And then we have tahara minan najasa, purity from physical impurities. And that is achieved by removing the impurity. So, for example, a person might be physically clean, but ritually they are not clean, so they cannot perform salah. They need to make wudu and then they can perform salah. Then it comes to physical impurities. There's something that fell on your body, on your hand. It's something that is considered to be impure in terms of or in terms of the Sharia, in terms of Islamic law, and you need to now cleanse that impurity from your body. How do you go about cleansing it? There's different ways of cleansing impurities. One way would be in terms of using water or any cleansing agent. A person can use sand, a person can use stone. In some cases, a person can clean something by means of tanning, right? For example, a skin of a certain animal perhaps is considered to be impure, but when it is tanned, it then becomes pure. Right? So these are different ways to remove a physical impurity. So that's the crux of understanding what is tahara, what is purity, that it refers to either achieving a ritual state of purity or to remove a physical impurity from the body. Or it can be from the clothes, or it can be from anything else. The scholars then go on to discuss al-miyahu allati tahsulu biha tahara. What types of water can cleanliness and purity be achieved with? Right? What are those types of water that you can achieve cleanliness with? And then they say that تحصل الطهارة بالماء المطلق. That cleanliness can be achieved with general water, الماء المطلق. And what is general water? It is that water that maintains its natural qualities. ولم تخالطه نجاسة, and no impurities have been mixed in there. ولم يغلب عليه شيء, and nothing overpowers its natural qualities. And what are the natural qualities of water? So we have to see that the taste, the smell, and the color is not altered in any way. That's what we generally look for. So this ma'ul mutlaq, this general water that can be used for achieving a ritual state of purity, meaning to make your wudu with, or to make ghusl, or to remove an impurity from your body or from your clothes or anywhere else. What are these types of water that is regarded to be general water? And the scholars explain ma'us sama, rainwater. We have ma'un nahr, water flowing, water that you can get from a flowing river. We have ma'ul bi'r, water that you can draw from a well. Ma'ul ain, water that you get from a spring, a natural spring. Ma'ul bahr, the water of the ocean. Ma'un dhaba min thalj, water that has come about from ice that has melted. And ma'un dhaba min al bard, water that has come about after hailstones have melted. So water achieved from any of these, or gained from any one of these sources, they are considered to be al-ma'ul mutlaq, general water, and tahara can be achieved by using such water. Then the scholars go on to explain the aqsamul miyah wa ahkamuha, that there are different types of water in terms of its rulings, right? So we're going to talk about the rulings of certain types of waters. And then they go on to say that تنقسم المياه باعتبار المياه التي تحصل بها الطهارة والمياه التي لا تحصل بها الطهارة إلى خمسة أقسام. Basically, there are five categories of water when we're looking at it from the aspect of achieving and attaining purity, and particularly a ritual state of purity. So the first being water which is tahir mutahhir ghair makruh, meaning the water itself is pure. Number two, it has the ability to purify. And number three, it is not reprehensible. That is the first category of water. First type of water we have in terms of our rulings that we're talking about. So it is water that is pure, it has the ability to purify, and it is not reprehensible, it is not disliked in any way. And that's where the general water would fit in. So we look at water, rainwater, water from an ocean, water flowing in a river, or a river flowing with water rather, that water from any of these sources is pure in itself. You can achieve purity by means of that, and it is not reprehensible to use such water. Then we look at the second type, where the scholars have deemed it to be tahir, mutahhir, makruh, that it is pure in itself. Yes, you can achieve a ritual state of purity, however, it is reprehensible to use such water. And what type of water would fall under this category? The scholars explain الماء الذي شربت منه الهرة أو الدجاجة أو سباع الطير سباع الطير أو الحية. that water which a cat had drank from, or a chicken, or a predatory bird, or a snake. So if any of these animals have drank from the general water, then yes, it is still regarded to be pure. You can achieve purity with that, your wudu and ghusl and so forth. However, it is makruh, it is reprehensible, it is disliked. The scholars then go on to a third category, saying that you get certain types of water that is tahir, it is pure in itself, ولكن وقع الشك في كونه مطهرا. However, there is doubt whether it has the ability to purify or not. So the water in itself is pure, but there's doubt whether you can complete your wudu with that, or make ghusl with that, and the ghusl will be valid. And what type of water falls under this? الماء الذي شرب منه الحمار أو البغل. That water which a donkey or a mule had drank from. And they go on to say that فإنه طاهر بدون شك, that it is pure without a doubt. If a donkey or a mule had drank from the general water, it's pure without a doubt. ولكن, however, the question comes about هل يصح به التوضؤ أم لا? That can wudu be achieved with this water or not? فقد وقع الشك في ذلك. So the thing is, there's doubt regarding this water. So it's pure, we don't doubt it. Can it purify? There's doubt regarding it. And the scholars advise, فَإِن لَمْ يَجِدْ غَيْرَهُ تَوَضَّأَ بِهِ وَتَيَمَّمَ, that if a person doesn't have any water besides this type of water in which there is doubt whether it can purify or not because a donkey or mule had drank from it, then no problem. If you don't find any other water besides this, you can use it to make wudu, but at the same time, you will make tayammum as well, the substitute for wudu. There's a different method. It's a concept on its own, which we will discuss later on. And then the scholars go on to say about the fourth type, which is tahir ghayr mutahhir. The water in itself is pure, but now it has lost its ability to purify. You cannot use it to achieve wudu. You cannot use it to achieve a valid ghusl. And what is that water? It is al-ma'ul musta'mal, that used water. So you have already used it. فَإِنَّهُ طَاهِرٌ, used water is pure in itself. وَلَكِنَّهُ غَيْر مُطَهِّرٌ لَا يَصِحُّ بِهِ التَّوَضُّؤُ. However, it does not have the ability to purify, and wudu with such water will not be permissible. Now, what do we mean by used water? So by used water, we mean الماء الذي استعمل في الوضوء أو الغسل لرفع حدث أو لقربة كالوضوء على الوضوء بنية الثواب. It is that leftover water, that simply put is that leftover water that you use to make wudu. So you already use that water to make wudu, to take you out of a ritual state of impurity, bring you onto a ritual state of purity, or perhaps you made wudu just to get extra rewards. You wanted to renew your wudu. But whatever water you had already used for wudu or for ghusl, to reuse it. The scholars say yes, that water in itself is pure, but ghayr mutahhir doesn't have the ability to again put you in a state of wudu or ghusl. It does not have the ability to purify. And then we have the fifth type of water, where the scholars call it najas or najis. Can be read in either one of two ways, meaning that it is impure water, and impure water simply means that it is not pure in itself. And because it's not pure in itself, obviously you cannot use it to achieve wudu or ghusl. So these are the five types of waters, that stems obviously from your general waters that we discussed. General water, what is classified as that, and flowing from there, what are the rulings pertaining to these general waters? And we said that sometimes it's pure in it has the ability to purify. It's not reprehensible. Sometimes it is reprehensible. Sometimes there's doubt in whether you can achieve wudu by it. Sometimes it's going to be regarded as pure, but you can't use it for wudu. It's not just doubtful, it's like you can't. And then the fifth type, where it's totally regarded as impure and now you cannot use it. So this basically covers the starting part of Tahara, which is got to do with, or which has to do with water, because water is generally used for achieving cleanliness and ritual purity. Inshallah, in our next lesson, we will continue from where we are now leaving and where we are stopping. And yes, if there's any questions, you can always contact us directly and get in touch with us at Muslim Online. And inshallah, we will try and assist you in understanding this better. We ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to grant us the understanding and the true understanding of these rulings, just so that we can practice on them. And perhaps we never know one day when we might run into these types of masail, these types of rulings, and then, because we've learned it so well, we don't have to go about asking anyone. Yes, it's always good to ask and verify, but we should also be confident in what we are learning. Ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to accept from us and to allow this journey to reach its completion. Wa akhiru da'wana and alhamdulillah rabbil alameen. Wassalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi ta'ala wa barakatuh.